Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you guys have been following my build, you know that I've been experiencing an idle issue with the D16Y8. So what's happening is, as soon as I rev and release the throttle, it would idle really low to the point of almost dying to actually dying, which is stalling. It's kind of scary because I don't want this to happen while I'm driving on the road. So I've taken the vehicle around when it's fully warmed up around the block a few times and coming to stops and all that stuff. It hasn't stalled on me, but it has idled really low. Like today, I took it around and it was idling basically at zero almost. At least that's what the RPM gauge said. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but the engine was so quiet as I was coming to a stop, and I literally thought that the car was already stalled. Um, so the things that I've already done, I've cleaned the IACV, I've cleaned the throttle body, replaced the spark plug wires, have new spark plugs in there, replaced the fuel filter, I've adjusted the idle, I've bled the coolant. I'm not really sure what else I can think of, but I've done a lot of things on this already. If you guys have any ideas, maybe leave it in the comments and let me know. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test my the TPS sensor and my MAP sensor. So in order to do that, you have to measure the voltage. I'm not going to pierce the wires to try and measure it. So what I'm going to do is use an old harness and build some prongs to just pin it in there so that I could measure the voltage through the prongs. Show you guys how to build one of these harnesses. I'm sure you guys won't really need to, but it would be handy, and I have extra harnesses anyways from the extra engine harness that I had. So let's get to work. So how you would build this harness so that you could pin it into the original harness so that you can measure it is you'll need a few of these kind of pins. I got these off of an old distributor harness, so you could kind of depin them and take these out. So these will just plug into your current harness. So what you're going to do is you'll need another spare 3-prong kind of map sensor plug. This is the same plug for both the TPS and map sensor. So either or will work. This is my old plug since I swapped over to a newer plug for my map sensor. So what you're going to essentially do is you have that and you'll solder these 3 prongs to the back of it so that it is essentially like that. This side will plug into your harness and this will plug into the sensor. And then you'll use your voltmeter and you'll measure it from these prongs because they'll be open. This will prevent you having to pierce through these wires just to measure the voltage and all that. I mean, you could essentially stick the prong into the back of this and hopefully it touches the contact, but I'm not going to do that. It might damage the harness and everything. I think you could also measure it on the back of the ECU using the ECU wires, but I'm not going to go back there and map out which wire is which. This is an easier method for me. So the things that you'll need is basically a soldering iron. I'm using this big soldering iron because it actually heats up really quick. You'll need some heat shrink, and you'll need a lighter, and you'll just basically solder these wires together like this, and then you could use this same harness for both the MAP and the TPS. So I'm just gonna get to work and show you how it's done. All right, so you'll also need to, firstly, you'll also need some wire strippers. First is I'm going to strip these wires. And you'll need some heat shrink. You don't need the whole tube of heat shrink, so what I'm going to do is cut these in half. Put a piece of heat shrink in there. Well, actually, it's easier to match some of the colored wires together. So let's go yellow to yellow. And there you go. Now you're going to need some solder. And see if this is hot yet. It's getting there. So just wait a little bit. Wait for it to cool down a little bit. Because you don't want to loop the heat shrink on there when it's still really hot. It would just start to shrink and you won't be able to get it over there, and you would have wasted putting the heat shrink on. The wire does get really hot. And then you would use your lighter. And there you go. You've built yourself the little harness. It's hot. All right, so how you would use this is that here's the harness that we've made, and here's, for example, the MAP sensor. So you'll take this out. I can't really do this with one hand, but you would plug this one in, and it fits. Then one wire at a time, you just feed it into there. It's really difficult to do this with one hand. But not impossible. So there you go. It's all plugged in. And you would do that for your TPS sensor, which is back here as well. And what you would use is your voltmeter would just be on top of here, and you would use it to measure the voltage. All right, so I'm just gonna measure the voltage right now and show you some of the readings. All right, guys, so first step is to go into your vehicle and turn it to the on position. Next, you're gonna turn on your voltmeter to about 20 volts. So here I'm going to actually check each one of the wires here. So the first wire I'm going to check is our ground wire. So what I'm going to do is actually put my positive lead into my battery here. And then I'm going to touch, well, that didn't stay. Then I'm going to touch the ground wire here, up on, right there. That's the middle one. You should see whatever the voltage of your battery is, because you're grounding it and it's giving you your battery reading. It's essentially the same as touching the negative lead. So we know that ground wire is working. That's fine. Next, you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna check the ground wire. So, you're gonna check the positive voltage wire. We just checked the ground wire. So how you would do that is you would ground the black lead, and you would touch the left wire right here. The left wire right here, sorry. And what you should see is roughly around 5 volts, which is roughly around 5 volts. So that is giving positive power. Next, what you're going to check is the signal wire, which is the right lead here.
So you leave your black wire grounded and then you just touch this one. It should read about 3 volts. And that's exactly what we're getting, 3 volts. So the MAP sensor seems to be fine and all the wires seem to be okay. So I've already tested the MAP sensor with a few different MAP sensors. So I don't believe the MAP sensor is the issue, but it could possibly be the TPS. So what I'm going to do is unplug this and set it up for the TPS, and we'll do the test on the TPS. All right, guys, so now it's set up for the TPS. So what the wires is the left wire is actually the ground, the middle one is the signal, and the right one is the voltage. So we're gonna run the same test again in the same kind of order. Let's test for the ground first. So positive lead, touch the first wire, getting the battery voltage, good. Put the negative lead onto the negative terminal and touch the positive. And we're getting about 5-ish, good. And then touch the middle signal one. And at resting, it should be roughly around 0.5. So it is a little high. 0.5 voltage. Wonder what it is fully open. So I need 2 hands to do the fully open one. So I'll report back what I see. All right, guys, after measuring the TPS, it seems to me that it is out of spec. It's actually 0.54 when it should be 0.49, and it is 5 when it should be 4.5. So I think I may need to somehow adjust the TPS or get a new one. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to remove the TPS or even loosen it while it's still on the vehicle. You really have to pull the throttle body off to do this. But this could be what's causing the idle issue.
Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned how to test your TPS and your MAP sensors. I'm still not sure how I'm going to be getting the loosening TPS at least and adjusting it to spec. So we'll have to see about that. And yeah, I'll probably have to do another video on adjusting that if I do decide to adjust it. But I'm thinking maybe that's what's causing my idle issue. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video. Cheers.